Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we're going to talk about Sarms gains versus steroid gains. But before we get into that, I have to reiterate that I am not a doctor. Anything I say in these videos is for your entertainment purposes only. What you do with this information is completely and utterly up to you, and I am not advising nor condoning you to use any of the things that we discuss in any way, shape, or form. So let's get right down to it. Sarms gains and steroid gains, because I get this question so often. So let's start with this. I don't think any rational person that knows anything about anything is going to sit here and tell you that SARMs are stronger than steroids, because anybody that does that is going to be a flat-out liar. Now, I'm just talking about in general. There are some SARMs that you get to weaker steroids where they might be on par to a point, all right? Especially things like S23, which I don't even consider a SARM whatsoever, being that it just acts as a steroid, and I don't really even discuss it. But there's an argument that could be made that S23 is stronger than Anavar. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it is, but there's an argument for it. But let's just get into brass tacks here and break it down. When we're talking about steroids, on the front end, the gains are always going to be more profound. All right? They're going to be bigger. They're probably going to be a lot faster, more fast-acting. And you're going to see... let's talk about like a long-term cycle. You're just going to see more throughout the cycle generally than you would with SARMs. All right, whether it's strength, whether it's size, whether it's vascularity. However, with SARMs, you're still going to see all of these things, just not to that extent. But you're going to get what you're expecting when it comes to those things. You just have to have your expectations and understanding of each SARM, what they do, what they're capable of, and what steroid you're using and what it's capable of. You're not going to find a SARM that's going to get you the size of a D-ball and the strength of an Anadrol or Superdrol or things like that. You're not going to get that, all right? But you can get some SARMs that have properties that go along with other steroids. Like, we could take comparisons of steroids to SARMs where they're kind of similar, like, Anavar and Winstrol to an S4. Things like that. MK2866 maybe to like a T-ball in terms of what it can do. Obviously T-ball is going to be stronger, but similar qualities, things like that. LGD is a bulker, but it's going to be more like equipoise size as opposed to, deca size. So you've got to understand, and you've got to have realistic expectations no matter what you're doing. Now, you're not going to get estrogen conversion with SARMs either, so you're not going to get that water weight, aside from maybe MK677, which can bring water weight at the beginning, although it doesn't convert to estrogen. But what you also have to think about is this. Let's say you take D-ball, and you've got 20, let's say you gain 15 pounds. Now, how much of that is likely estrogen and water? Well, let's be fair and say half. Could be a little less, could be a little more, depending on what else you're running, how you're controlling things. This is all hypothetical. Let's take LGD 4033, SARMs. Let's say you gain 8 pounds. You could maybe get up to 10 depending on your diet, what else you're running. Let's just say 8 to be fair and 15 on D-ball. So let's say by the end of your LGD cycle, you're still up about 8 pounds. But by the time that D-ball is done and you finish the rest of your cycle, chances are you've lost half of that in water. All right? Now, on the front end, it's way more profound. And if you're just looking to get big and you just want that instant gratification and just right then and there without the expectation of keeping it, well, D-ball clearly superior by far. Strength, definitely probably going to be damn near double. Who knows? I can't say that with certainty. I can't tell you exactly how much strength. You're going to get a lot of strength with LGD, but you're going to get a lot more with D-ball. But recovery time after a steroid cycle is going to be triple what it is with SARMs. All right? And so keepability is going to be a lot more difficult. With SARMs, you're looking at a really short recovery as long as you've got real quality SARMs. And so keepability is going to be a lot easier. So by the time it's all said and done, chances are a lot higher you're going to keep more with LGD and have less recovery time. And you're going to be able to get on another SARM cycle a lot quicker than you are another steroid cycle. So looking at that, long term, and saying, what will I keep more? Well, SARMs, you're going to have a lot better likely opportunity to do so with than you are with steroids. Now, they're not as profound, like I said, but we're looking long term here, not short term. And SARMs are going to have a more variety of things that they do. Like you got your specialty items like GW501516 or SR9009 that will just go right after endurance and in increasing your metabolism and improving blood pressure and cholesterol. While steroids are going to have far more side effects and are going to hammer your blood pressure and cholesterol, especially with oral steroids, and can definitely hurt them even with injectables, things like trenbolone, for example. Things like DECA and Tren that can also go after prolactin, and things like that, where you're not going to have that issue with SARMs. Now, there's an argument that SARMs haven't been around as long. There's still a lot of studies on SARMs. You can go back to the late 90s on certain ones, MK2866 and 677. So there's arguments there as well. But, for me, recovery time's a big deal because PCT is the most important part of any cycle. And if we're looking at SARMs recovery to steroids recovery, it's like, okay, you can't ever say steroids are stronger than SARMs, but SARMs recovery is a lot easier than steroids. SARMs can eliminate the need for injecting, which a lot of people frown upon, whether it's they're scared of needles, whether they don't want it around their family. There's all kinds of different scenarios there. But there's also a lot of, and trust me, there's a lot of shady steroid dealers out there, okay? But there's a lot of shady SARMs companies out there too, so you got to worry about quality aspects on both ends. Legalities, SARMs are gray, I guess. There's a lot of controversy there where steroids are scheduled drugs. So these are all things that you've got to look at too, but when we're talking about gains here, and so if you want that quick, hard-hitting type of gain with more side effects, more recovery time, but more profound results, then you're going to want steroids. And there's a place for both, right? SARMs are excellent for bridges in between steroid cycles as well. So you don't have to just go, well, I'm just a SARMs guy or I'm just a steroids guy. They both have their place. They both have a purpose. So you don't have to be totally for one and anti the other. There's arguments for both. I've just made them. And I'm not sitting here because everybody knows I'm really pro SARMs. I'm not trying to say that, they're so much better because, look, there's pros and cons of each. If you need something fast acting and you need big size or this or that, then steroids are going to be the answer probably for you. But if you know what you're doing, you can fix this to where, you can make them both work or however you want. Just understand that there's differences in the gains, there's differences in results, there's differences in side effects, there's differences in keepability, and then there's also, certain areas of legalities, things like that, cost, trustworthy of quality, things of that nature. So there's a ton of things to consider when you're looking at these. If you need, everybody asks me for a recommendation on SARMs. I recommend esarms.com. I just know the quality there, and I know it's a trustworthy site. But that's up to you, whatever. I'm just giving you the answer that people ask me. So that is SARMs gains versus steroids gains. I hope that helped you and kind of break it down. So that being said, www.isarms.com/forums. I'm also in the evolutionary forum as well as the elite fitness forum. You can also email me, Dylan@isarms.com. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli signing off.